Welcome back to MVM. Today I want to share with you the upcoming title, Steampunk Rally Fusion, a standalone game that can be fully combined and integrated with the 2015 original release, Steampunk Rally, both from Roxley Games. This game will be on Kickstarter, so everything that I show you today are prototype components. So make sure you guys go to the Kickstarter page to see all the final pieces that are going to be included. Now, there are a number of new additions to the game, and I'll get into those a little bit later, but before I do so, if you're not already familiar with Steampunk Rally, both games play very similar to one another, so let me give you a brief introduction to the series. Steampunk Rally Fusion is a card drafting, dice placement racing game, where you will be gathering and placing dice on your ever-changing and growing invention of machine parts to generate movement along with other very unique and powerful effects in an effort to cross the finish line both faster and further than your opponents. And in order to do so, you will be taking on the role of one of 12 well-known inventors from history, all of which have 2 starting cards that represent the start of their unique racing contraption. Each game of Steampunk Rally Fusion will take place on a randomly constructed map, representing either Machu Picchu or Mars, both of which come with their own set of obstacles and events that will both damage your inventions and hamper your ability to progress in a different set of ways. The game plays out over a number of rounds until one of the players crosses the finish line, at which time one final round will be played to conclude the game, and then you'll find an overall winner by determining who amongst them traveled the furthest along the track. Each of these game rounds are broken into 4 phases: a draft phase, event phase, a race phase, and finally a damage phase, repeated over and over until one of those players crosses that finish line. In the draft phase, players will gather a hand of 4 random cards, each card coming from one of the 4 unique decks that represent copper, silver, and gold machine parts, as well as boost cards. Players will choose one of these cards to either build into their invention or sell in order to gather the dice or cogs that will power their upcoming race phase. Players will then pass the remainder of those cards to their opponents and continue this draft phase until all the cards have either been built, sold, or in the case of boost cards, stored to be used at the appropriate time. The vent phase simply allows players to spin their cogs in order to vent or free up their machine slots of dice by ticking them down and eventually removing them from that card, so that those slots can be used again on future race turns. The race phase allows players to operate as many of the machine parts on their invention as they desire by using their gathered dice and placing them on the appropriate color-coded slots of those cards, effectively powering their abilities. Outside of the draft, this race phase is really the meat of the game, and each machine card and their provided slots and abilities provide a wide range of effects that will ultimately move their contraption forward. It's really important to think of your invention as the engine building portion of the game, where actions and abilities can trigger other actions. Finally is the damage phase, where players might be forced to permanently remove cards from their invention if they sustain too much damage from the track, other players, or events in the game. So you might be asking, what is new to Steampunk Rally Fusion? Well, as previously mentioned, this is a standalone title. However, there are a number of new things that can be added and mixed with the original release. First, there is entirely new content for players, including new inventors, new tracks, new machines, and new boost cards. In fact, there is 0 duplicated content across those 4 items from Steampunk Rally. So all the things will be new, effectively adding more variety to your combined games. Within the new machine parts themselves, there are 2 new game mechanisms: Gear Up and Overcharge. Gear Up effectively provide additional abilities to some cards when they are geared up with the appropriate number of slotted cogs, meaning that cogs now have even more optional uses outside of just re-rolling dice and venting dice. The new Overcharge ability cards allow players to permanently remove those cards from their invention in order to provide that player with a powerful one-time use ability. There is also a brand new energy type in the game, represented by the powerful yet restrictive Fusion Dice. Fusion Dice are oversized green and purple dice. They are wild in color and can really provide powerful boosts to your machine slot actions, but they can never be vented nor removed from your machine. So players are going to have to make that decision on when to use them, possibly constricting their abilities to use their engine moving forward. The final two main additions to the game are the secret projects and the event cards. Secret projects are hidden objectives that players can build towards by expending dice in runs instead of using those same dice to race. These projects can effectively be powered up and then used to provide a powerful one-time ability before being discarded, and are a great way to use dice that were not able to be utilized during the race phase. Event cards serve two main purposes. First, they dictate the direction by which the draft is going to take place each round. However, more importantly, they also create small annoyances to players who begin their turns on specific spaces of the map. These cards are revealed and affect all players who occupy locations noted by those particular regions. More generally speaking, though, Steampunk Rally Fusion just offers a bit more interaction between the players. And although still not a direct combat game, there are now more ways to directly mess with your opponents, as well as additional ways to catch up with those players who have taken a drastic lead at the start of the game. So that is Steampunk Rally Fusion. If you have any questions about the game, make them in the comments below. We will answer those for you. Make sure you guys go to the Kickstarter page to see all the final components, and we will see you guys next time.